Place cuff fabric right side up on work surface. Matching up long edges, place pillowcase body on top of cuff fabric. Your right sides, the outside of the pillowcase will be together. Pin edges together. Beginning at lower long edge, roll the pillowcase body toward the cuff. Stop rolling when you reach halfway up the cuff. The upper raw edges should still line up. Alright. Bring the cuff fabric over the top. And pin about 3 to 4 inches, making sure all raw edges line up.
See how all of the edges are pinned together? You will now be ready to start step 5. For step 5, we are going to sew the pin edges together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So, line it up on the 1/2 inch seam allowance. And you will sew all the way down the long edge of the fabric. Remember to back stitch a couple of times at the ends of each side. Also remember to take the pins out as you sew. Something important to make sure you don't do is not to sew the tube part, or else your pillow will not come out right. Now you will do step 6, which is taking the tube you just made and turning it inside out. Sometimes you might have to have a partner to help you with this, but you just pull it on out. Don't be afraid, it will look good. All seam allowances should be encased. So it should look like this. At this time, you will need to iron your pillowcase. You will need to make sure that the band is super flat before you move on to the next step, which is step 9. Now you will flip it over and repeat the same process on the other side, making sure that it's super flat. So now we are in step 9, and you will need to fold your pillowcase in half the long way with the wrong sides together, and then trim your edges so they all match. So to clarify, there is the side that is more vibrant right here, and then there's the side that's more dull. The wrong side is the more dull side. And so you'll now fold fold your pillowcase in half the long way with the wrong sides together. As you can see here, we have a little spot that is a little off, so we'll just have to trim that and then it will be ready to go. So now you will place pins 3 to 4 inches apart on the sides and on the bottom. So you'll do it on the long side and the short side. Now it's time to sew. So you will sew a 1/4 inch starting with the cuff along the long side, pivot, and continue sewing the bottom edge. So the first line will be the 1/4 inch, so make sure to sew on there, and then make sure to backstitch on the ends so everything stays in place. And make sure to remove the pins as you go. Now you will make sure that you pivot at this point. So as you can see, she's going to do a pivot. And then you will continue to sew the short side. Make sure to backstitch at this point as well. You will now trim the corners so that they lay flat. Now you will turn your pillowcase inside out. So now the wrong edges will be, or wrong sides will be on the outside. Now you're ready for step 10. You will turn the you've already turned the pillowcase unit wrong side out, and now you will press the seam allowance flat. For best results, you might need to roll the seam between your fingers to nudge it to the edge prior to pressing. The next step will be very similar to step 9, except this time you will be putting the right sides together and sewing a 1/2 inch, starting with the cuff along the long side, pivoting, and then continuing the entire bottom edge. Always remember to backstitch on the ends. Finally, the last step, you will now turn your pillow inside out, press it, and then you're done, and you can enjoy your pillow. Here we have the finished product. Here's the inside and what it should look like. And then here's the outside. Make sure that you cannot see your seam on the outside. That is very important. As you can see here, no seam.